Okay, so I'm going to read to you one of these. Would you stop zooming in and out? No. Is that too much of me? Is that not enough of me? All right. No matter what I do with my camera or my whatever, it's just, you'll still, odds are you're still going to find a reason to, you know, slam me. I even have a blankie on. You want to slam me for that too. I know you love to dehumanize me. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to read you one of the comments on the NextDoor Lynch Mob, because this is similar to what a lot of people seem to believe, and I'm going to read you an email to later from Michelle Sandoval to the world. They really believe that they're the good guy, and they believe it's okay to abuse, silence, bully, shut down the other, right? And in the Julie Jaman case, Julie Jaman was a lifelong Democrat. She's a pretty staunch Democrat, highly intelligent, incredible woman. And Amy Sousa was a lifelong Democrat. A lot of the women there were Democrats. So their issue is with all religions and all parties and all people that don't love who they love or believe what they believe or believe how they believe, or like me, that they assume what I am and who I believe regarding this turf issue. I had to look it up then because I'd never heard of it. After 2015, when we got equality and gay rights to marry, I didn't really pay any attention to anything. The trans issues are important issues, important topic, but they're not the same as gay and lesbian issues. Gay and lesbian issues are not the same. I mean, we differ vastly. We were in certain fights and legal cases and marches so we could have same-sex marriage. And now we're being persecuted for similar. So anyway, so Derek Firenze, F-I-R-E-N-Z-E, interacted with a lot of things that he's said and done over the last couple of years. He was at the press conference. He was part of all that. And now I guess he's that Jefferson Beacon with Nat Nichols. And I'd also done some videos out there where Eric Winstrom had contacted the Coast Guard, or somebody did. There was a complaint about Salish Rescue putting raw sewage into the bay. And when he got that complaint, he leaked it to Nat, who leaked it to Libby, who fixed it before the authorities got there. And so I did a video about that quite a few months back. And he interacted with one of my sources, and he's like, I'm not going to talk to the Reverend. Like, I don't like the Reverend, right? Doesn't know me. Everything that he knows about me, he's presumed. I know a little bit more now because he's probably looked at some more videos, and he's, you know, people like to go, you know, whether they value my looks or not, whether they value my clothes choice or my teeth, or make fun of my mental health issues, make fun of me having experienced homeless, while at the same time glorifying that in others. The things that a lot of them slam me about are pretty standard among, you know, butch lesbians, especially 54-year-olds, you know, that have, you know. But anyway, it's about who they love. And so he says, the beliefs of Crystal Cox, well, his picture kind of scares me. It actually triggers me, I'm going to be honest, because I'm scared of that mob still. I see those people at the store. I see them at the library. They threaten to do worse next time. It's not a joke. What we experienced to them, it didn't matter. It was just it was a protest to them. But that ain't what it was to me and a lot of the women there. So his picture on NextDoor is, well, I'm not going to show you because it's not one of those deals, but, you know, it's scary. It makes him look like a madman, and I see him as a madman, someone that could hurt me or jump out and kill me at any minute. And they'd be like, well, you're exaggerating. Well, that's what I felt. I did a dental appointment about 2 weeks after the press conference, and the masks on the dental assistants made me have a panic attack. They almost had to take me to the hospital. They couldn't get my heart rate down. So it's real for us. Okay, the beliefs Crystal Cox holds, right? No one's asked me. I didn't know Julie Jaman. I met her the night of the press conference. I didn't know Amy Sousa, had never met her. Didn't know any of the other women there. I didn't know anybody there. I'd never even met Jim Scarantino until that night. They've made a lot of assumptions of who they think I am and the beliefs that I hold. The beliefs Crystal Cox holds would put members of this community at greater risk to violence. I'm going to really try not to cry here. We weren't at risk of violence. We experienced violence from you and the people that you incited and the people apparently that you love. You put members of the community in danger, and we have lived with that PTSD and that constant stress every day since. We get it at the stores. We get it at the library. We get it at the parks. Julie Jamon was harassed everywhere and defamed in the paper and constantly threatened. She's 82. There's nothing crueler than what this town did to Julie Jamon. Even if they believe the story the way they tell it, that she had a traumatic response because there was a man in a woman's locker room and she was vulnerable and naked, even if an 80-year-old did that, which Julie believes that she was reporting something, she wanted to know what's going on. She thought she was reporting something she didn't know, and the YMCA employee didn't have identification. She didn't know. So when an 80-year-old doesn't know something or understand something, the community response is to bully her, berate her, defame her, attack her, assault her. She got assaulted by felony assault by Alex French. Of course, Feinstein and Faber made it go away, but just down to a little misdemeanor. But she had a pretty bad sprained ankle where she was knocked down. And so I lost my train of thought there, but why doesn't Julie matter? Why do you expect an 80-year-old to know what whippersnappers are into? I mean, in my day, my grandma was like in her late 50s when I was like 18 or whatever, and she didn't know anything about what I was into. And then there's the gay stuff, and there's the music, and I would have never, there's no 80-year-old, there's nothing an 80-year-old could say that would make me gather up a mob and attack her, or go and protest her right to speak, or ban her from a place forever because if you thought she was confused, because you're traumatized by a national event like that Julia Cochran said. Remember, it's a proxy war for a national event. So there's no humanity when you nationalize everything, when this is a living, breathing human being. And I met Julie that night, and I went to her house once and talked to her for a couple hours. And first hour of that was an interview with the Human Rights Commission that I went there to support her through. She is incredibly smart. She is amazing. The thing she's into is amazing. I'm 54, she's 82. We clash on some certain lifestyle things and different things, she's old school, and she likes to write things in proper grammar, and she likes to, do things a certain way. And I would never disrespect her for that. And these guys are in their 20s and 30s, and this guy's probably in his 30s, right? But they feel the sense of entitlement to bully and berate elders that may not understand what's going on in the modern world. And I'm not okay with that. I didn't stand up for Julie Jamon because she's someone I love, man, and we have the same politics, and she's just awesome. I stood up for Julie Jamon because she's a living, breathing human being. And I saw in social media and in the newspaper that this town was doing what they did to Michael Almain. The same thing. So I spoke up. And when I spoke up online, that's when Amy invited me to speak at the press conference. So I did. And I went there to speak on the values of pride. And y'all shut me down and shut me up. I blacked out after I spoke. That's how I met some other Free Press people, because they held me up against the wall till I came to. Y'all don't know what we experienced. And I get tons of hate from many of you that tell me that I've made the Port Townsend pacifists look bad. Well, y'all aren't pacifists. Okay? When you go downtown, I don't know if it's every Friday or first Friday of the month or whatever, and you see those women standing in black against domestic violence, they're pacifists. Yeah. So the beliefs that I hold are putting community members at risk of violence. And that's what they yelled in the streets, Piper, and everybody's like, oh my God. And their threat about the Proud Boys are coming, the Proud Boys are coming, right? Completely tone deaf, that 400 of them assaulted and hurt and attacked us in the real world. They're throwing a big hissy fit at what might happen to them, but it's already happened to us. Women they label TERFs. And like I said, I had to look it up. I didn't even know what it was. I've never considered myself a feminist. I've never been trans exclusive. I have been radical, but I don't even get it. And then TERF, and they got knife, kill the TERFs, shoot the TERFs. What? If these women are uncomfortable around trans people, you want to kill them? I've been around a lot of people that are uncomfortable with me. And that locker room was me, you know, I've been in locker rooms where women are uncomfortable to change around me. And I sense it, you know, women's intuition. But if they said it, certainly, but I sense it, and I, you know, I look away, or I move to the other side. I don't go, watch them dress, and I don't go, if they go, hey, can you, like, even if they went, can you get out of here? Like, clearly you're a big old butch and, you know, you want me, so get on out of here. I wouldn't like scream at him, yell at him, get my friends or whatever. I just, you know, go to the other side of the whatever. I wouldn't go up to him and go, the law says I can be here, so go ahead and get undressed. And if you don't, I'm going to get the manager, they're going to ban you for life. Like, there's nothing human decency or constitutional rights or loving or respectful. And to me, it's spiritual. Okay? Universal Church of Light is a religious organization. Bringing Back God. It's just all faith church. I have studied everything spiritual I could get my hands on my entire life. And when I was a kid, I used to go down to this 90-mile lake by myself all the time. And I talked to God. And I listened to Bible tapes, you know, like Psalms and Matthew. And I've studied everything spiritual and every religious doctrine out there I could get my hands on for my entire life. And I've channeled information and been talked to by spirit. This is spiritual to me. I don't care. I don't give no two shits which party is. What happened to Julie wasn't right. And like I said, I wasn't gonna do anything about it. I wasn't gonna say anything about it. And I've been honest and vocal about this before. I didn't care about the issue. Take it or leave it. I care about people. I stood up for a trans individual downtown that the city was going at and hurting, and wasn't letting the guy have a protective order. He started dressing as a woman, identifying as a woman. He got threats of rape. He got all kinds of stuff. Police were against him. The city was against him. The shelter was against him. I stood up for him. I'm about individual people, individual sovereign rights, and not group rights. Anyway, the beliefs that I hold do not put the community at risk. The community is at risk. Homeless people have killed themselves. I've been under massive stress. A lot of people have been under massive stress because of this hive mind of this one particular group that takes away the rights of everyone else. And the people's rights they take away from and don't like, yeah, traditionally conservative Republican chuds, but right, they've added TERFs, which in a large part are liberals. And because the conservatives, they call something else, like it's about this and it's about that. So they're just othering people, and they're justifying that to dehumanize them and hurt them and incite violence against them. TERF incites violence. All the images out there, it's in violence, real world violence. You know, hitting, kicking, knives, threats, outcasting us from the community, berating, bully, defaming, never letting up on an 80-year-old woman, right? And the rest of us, they call TERFs. Like I said, I don't identify as a TERF or any of those terms. And the tone deafness of it, to not even consider our feelings, or that we're human, or that we matter, or even, you know, ask what we believe. And the stunning thing, because like I said, I was new to all of this, is that most of the people that are aggressive about it are straight, right? So they're gay bashing us. They're lesbian bashing us. And folks like that, Trent Diamante, actually in the comments that he put out at the time, and I guess the letter to the editor, was actually bashing lesbians and gays in support of trans. So why didn't they just go, you know, there for trans rights? Why do they have to call themselves Pride and LGBTQ supportive, right? And they're straight, and straight men, you know, abusing women. In my day, it would be gay bashing. Like, it would be a hate crime the way that these people are treating me. I've been a lesbian. I've been out my whole life. You know, I came out at 15. I was in a long-term lesbian relationship by 16. It's a lived life for me, and these guys don't have any idea what my beliefs are. My beliefs are taking away the violence. My belief are listening to the people that you guys are mobbing and lynching, and like Michael Almain, and proving it in the courts and standing up for them, because to give them a voice and a reason to live. It's not, my beliefs aren't the risk. I'm pointing out the risks. And I'm not doing this about my beliefs. I'm not doing this on a belief at all. I've not had a platform on this. Y'all didn't even notice. I share certain things, but I don't have a belief that's anti-trans. And neither did a lot of those women. They had other things going on. But I never weighed in on that yet. I mean, I have my own personal stuff. I've spent a lot of time in Boulder, Colorado. I live there. I was around a lot of trans women. I'm not who you painted me out to be, and that's okay. But my beliefs, my actions, my spiritual work is about raising the consciousness of Mother Earth and her people and animals and water and mountains, you know, one person at a time. And I don't care what their party is, and I don't care what their religion is. That's why I'm in all faith. It's an all faith church. I'll sit down and pray with anybody, with any church. So it's about empowering the individual. And when the YMCA issue came up, at first I was like, well, you know, it's their thing, right? They just do their thing. I'd been to the YMCA a few times. I wasn't comfortable there. This is what the local pride community is doing. And some old lady's like, and I don't care. Whatever. They're all, you know, on the same side of the beliefs. They're all whatever. It didn't really interest me at all. And then the online hate to Julie. Then it got bigger and bigger. And then I read an article in the paper. I read it on video. And I could see the same people that went after Michael Almain were going after Julie Jamon. So you had all the nonprofits, you had hospital commissioners, counselors, you know, all these people, and they go and they do it in the name of pride, and they're dehumanizing this woman, they're bullying her, they're going at her. And I've told you in other videos about my experience with David Faber. I'm trying to save a homeless man's life, and he comes in and sexualizes my comment. So his sexual deviant sickness, rapey, just disgust when I'm trying to keep a man from dying, was so horrifying to me. I definitely remembered his name. Didn't know anybody on city council before that night. I didn't know the mayor. I didn't know a city manager. I didn't care about any of it. I knew stuff with Sandoval over the years because, you know, she's been around a lot. And I said something once or twice, but I wasn't really anything about it. So, but to watch them lynch mob her and then to go after Amy for standing up for her, I'm like, well, this is an interesting story. So I started sticking up for her, and that's when Amy invited me to the press conference. I went there to speak on the values of pride, and I'm going to speak at the council meeting. And I was also going to say some positive things about Clementine, because I knew the kid for a few years. Nobody knows anything about me. They didn't bother to ask. They just judge what my beliefs are and say that they're violent. And so I didn't get to film that night. I wanted to, you know, I had cameras and stuff and a tripod and stuff in the car, but what I ended up doing was live feeding it and watching, because it, again, keep asking yourself, is that okay at your event? The bikes coming in, just the disrespect, the shutting down an event. If you'd just let those women speak, they'd have been there no more than 2 hours, but they'd have spoke no more than, 20 minutes, and they'd have been gone, right? But they wanted to also keep us off the record and out of the city meeting, which they did, and they let other groups in the back. So it's not okay what they did to put the community at great risk for violence and enact violence. So when Derek says 5 weeks ago, because this was in response to my ethics complaint against the mayor, the beliefs Crystal Cox holds would put members of this community at risk for violence. I've done a million videos over the last 20 years, all kinds of channeled information, light worker, spiritual, alternative healing. That's my thing. And I've been at it my whole life. And yeah, I stuck up for some people, and that ended up being a pretty big case and out there. But my day, all day, every day is healing, energy healing, spiritual healing, psychic readings, helping people to empower themselves and heal. My ministry, my church is real for me. And what you guys see or think you see or think I believe, it's not. And, like that Sean S. said, she's a lot of things. I'm a lot of things, right? I have a degree in forestry. I've had a bakery. I've had a ranch. I channel and spiritual write and poems and songs and, I've done a ton of things in my life and many people have, and have a lot of different beliefs. So whatever box they have me in is certainly not something I identify with. And I've never incited violence on any groups, and they have incited it and enacted it. So I don't understand why so many people keep saying this, that I, or Julie, or whatever, was incited violence against others. So the beliefs Crystal Cox holds would put members of the community at greater risk to violence. I don't understand what that belief is that he believes that I have. I don't understand what I've done to create greater violence, when what I've done is awaken people to the fact that of the violence and stopping it, and waking up hearts and minds. He doesn't see what happened that night as them being violent. That is violence. Not only in Montana, it's assault, where I come from, when you yell at somebody, like you're right in their face, and that aggression. But, flags in our face, knocking people down, robbing people, pinning people to bricks, being right up on us and screaming at us, and noisemakers, and hurt you. I can still hear them. It was so painful. I didn't have earplugs or anything. I had no idea that was going to happen. And that would not be okay or allowed at any other Port Townsend event. Even if the cops weren't there, they'd have called the cops and took care of it. But in this case, 7 cops stood and watched. Okay, the city let it happen. Officer cam footage shows that they knew there was 100 confirmed Antifa coming down the hill an hour and a half before we started. Didn't even bother to let us know. Didn't bother to separate the groups. We come back 2 weeks later, they separated the groups. Yeah, that wasn't to protect us. That was because of who they believe Washington 3% and the Proud Boys are. Okay, they were hyped out to be the terrorists and the bad guy, complete tone deaf to the 2 weeks before who the real terrorists were that terrorized us, and that continue to terrorize us over 2.5 years later, and would never let up on Julie Jamon. So I just don't understand how they believe what they believe, but they do. He believes that my beliefs put people at risk to violence. Okay, that's his belief. But the facts are that their beliefs actually didn't just put people at risk to violence, but enacted real-world violence and continue to. Okay. She proudly advocates for policies that would allow undue harm. Okay, first of all, I don't advocate for any policies, not one. I don't care what your policies are. I advocate for individual humans and individual human rights, regardless of their religious belief or political affiliation, or their color, or their weight, or their age. Individual people. Individual sovereign rights. She proudly advocates for policies that would allow undue harm to people I love. Okay, so, and a lot of them talk like this. People you love don't matter more than people that love Julie Jamon. Like I said, I didn't know her. I didn't do it because I loved Julie Jamon. I loved it because I saw what was happening to a fellow human being. I loved it. I mean, I stood up for her because I saw what was happening to a fellow human being. Not because I loved her or she was a friend. I didn't meet her till the night of the press conference. I've seen her once since. Well, twice, because once was at a a speech thing, but I didn't talk to her. So they're basically saying that if it's someone they love, we're going to enact, well, the whole thing. Housing, buildings, rights, we're going to enact violence on you. We're going to enact, as he said, policies if it's someone we love or we value. But that's not how it goes, okay? I was there, and I'm an advocate for human rights for all of everybody, all of you. If you listen to my speech at the beginning, I say I love you all. And at the end, I say I love you all. I don't understand what you whippersnappers did. I don't understand what the older folks did there. I don't understand what these straight men were doing. I now see that many of the men that are in the crowd are incredibly, well, they have fetishes about children, and they go to different groups where adults dress as children. I'm just going to leave it at that. So my intuition was right. I don't understand why they think it's okay that only people they love matter. I'm of the feeling that everybody matters, right? Derek did a pretty good article about the mill a couple weeks back. I posted it and was positive about it. To me, it's about individual rights, individual circumstances. I don't have an issue with groups of people. And so for them to call me bigot, Nazi, TERF, all these things. So bigotry is what they've shown. It's like they don't even know the definition. They call us fascists, but fascism is what they've enacted, okay, on people of their same political party or other political party. And to me, it's not about politics. Yes, I'm pro-Trump. Trump was a Democrat, now he's a Republican because of spiritual reasons, light worker, starseed reasons, New Earth reasons, raising the consciousness of Mother Earth reasons, anti-corruption, anti-war. Okay, bringing down corruption, bringing down the old ways. Did you see Cheney just come out for Harris? So Cheney would have been the most staunch, evil Republican out there. The Bush administration was evil, absolutely evil. I don't talk in like parties or party line or it's this group, so it's not about that. And I don't have an affiliation with any party here. I don't go to any functions. I'm not registered for any party. To me, it's about human decency. So whatever Derek hates me for or category puts me in or policies he thinks I'm advocating for, undue harm to people. Well, you brought undue harm to us. I have PTSD. Every noise outside, I have severe reactions to, and I have done everything I can. It doesn't go away. Some of the women have permanent shoulder injuries. Henry Hughes has permanent injuries in his prostate from being kicked by Alex Jones. Well, that too. I mean, Alex Fringe, who Faber and Feinstein got out of felony charges, right? Another woman's got a permanent knee injury from where she was shoved, knocked to the ground from that Bjorn McLaughlin. So they enacted real world violence and permanent mental and physical and financial hardship and issues on people for life. And they think that that somehow I'm bringing undue harm on them by standing up for the people that they enacted violence on and they enacted undue harm on. I have compassion for their feelings, but it's a mirrored reality to what I see as fact. Okay, she proudly advocates for policies that would undo harm the people I love who have already faced too much of that in their lives, okay? Again, I'm starting to cry. I lived in a car in Port Townsend for 7 years. I've faced some fucking hardships here. And I've seen the people in the streets, and I know what the hardships are. And I've stuck up for trans individuals and lesbian individuals. I've had close friends that were beat so bad their jaw was wired because they looked like a man while men and women watched. I've lived the life, and when you talk about they faced too much of that in their life, what do you mean? Words? Because Port Townsend is like that. Even the highest court in Jefferson County is like that, where they get you for a criminal charge or protective orders because of words and completely ignore the violence that happened to you. You're sticking up for yourself because you've been violated, And your words are criminal. Your words are worthy of a protective order, but their actions are ignored. It is like some sort of mirrored reality, and it's madness, and I don't understand it. So people that he loves that have faced too much of that in their lives, well, I'm not going to talk about this really in depth, but you have no fucking idea what Julie Jaman has faced. Julie Jaman has been through things you could not possibly imagine. And so has Amy Sousa. And a lot of the speakers. And half the speakers are lesbians. Okay, those women were rape survivors. Julie Jaman has survived some things that are unthinkable. You don't know her. Okay? Why didn't you just let her speak? So anyway, everything that he's saying here is kind of, I believe he feels it in his heart, but it doesn't make sense to me. It's not a reality that I live or anything I believe about myself. If you choose to believe in Cox's hateful views, I don't have any hateful views. What you guys did is pretty obvious to me, and standing up for your victims is spiritual to me. And I don't, nor will I ever understand how you feel that I have hateful views. I trust that you believe that, but I don't identify as someone that has hateful views. I guess you don't either. But to me, you certainly do. Okay, so if you choose to believe in Cox's hateful views and advocate for the devil, right? Now I'm the devil. This is quite the story, right? Trent Diamante outs in the paper that I'm a witch, as if it's a bad thing, and that I'm witches for Trump. So what? That's how you defend a legal case? He's not going to be a very good lawyer or law clerk. You know, I file an ethics complaint with tons of case law in it, and he comes back and says, witches for Trump! That's my defense. Oh, and then the Proud Boys. I mean, yeah, his law skills suck. So, if you choose to believe in Cox's hateful views and advocate for the devil, so I'm somehow dark, right? When they've clearly enacted darkness. This is very spiritual to me, very of the light, very dissolving the dark. It's just everything that he says is like a mirrored reality to me. So, if you choose to believe in Cox's hateful views and advocate for the devil, know that you are on the side of violence against the vulnerable. Right? I'm 54. Like I said, I lived in a car. I've had mental health stuff going on. Depression here, different things. I've had a lot of vulnerabilities and almost froze to death in a car here. I met people that have now dead, did freeze, or did a heat stroke, or killed themselves because of the Port Townsend community and the way they were treated. Julie Jaman's 80. She was in a very vulnerable position in that bathroom. Nobody had respect for her. The 80-year-olds that were at the press conference that you guys bashed and knocked down and called horrible, hateful names, they're the vulnerable. All these 20-something whippersnappers out there that have hurt feelings, they're not the vulnerable. No. And you're disempowering them but not helping them to deal with their trauma and just saying that you know that you're on the side of violence against the vulnerable. Derek, you're on the fucking side of violence against the vulnerable. You enacted violence against the vulnerable in the real world. I didn't. I didn't know any of you guys. I saw what you did to those women. It's not okay. You enacted the violence against the vulnerable. I'm standing up for the vulnerable. I don't understand where you're coming from or why, but you have a right to it. Certainly. And a lot of people believe the same as you. And so, you know, God has blessed you all. I don't know what else to say other than I don't identify with any of that. Bye for now.